Ever get this feeling like there's a whole world hidden just beneath the surface?
Yeah.
A place ruled by, well, imagine captivating beauty and ancient wisdom all rolled into one.
It's amazing how some legends are so well known in some cultures, but others have never even heard of them.
Totally. Welcome back to Iranian Things, everyone, episode 121. I'm Q Mars.
And I'm Tan Nas.
And we're here to be your guides into the less traveled corners of Iranian, well, folklore, really. Mythology, sometimes even a little cryptozoology.
And we've got a good one for you today. It's the story of Shahmaran, the snake queen, a really powerful figure in Middle Eastern cultures, especially Anatolian and Kurdish traditions.
This isn't just like some little myth, right?
Oh, not at all. She pops up everywhere. Paintings, sculptures, textiles, embroidery even.
It's kind of wild how a visual, like an image, can say so much, even when the actual history is a bit fuzzy. Makes you wonder where it all began. Right? Where did this whole Queen of the Snakes thing come from?
Well, the origins are definitely shrouded in mystery. We know it's deep in those Anatolian and Kurdish traditions, but nailing down a specific time and place is tough.
So we're talking about a legend that's been passed down, like whispered and painted, for ages. That's pretty impressive on its own, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not just the visuals that are fascinating. Her name, Shahmaran, gives us a peek into who she is.
How so?
It comes from Shah, meaning king, and Maran, meaning snakes. So it literally translates to king of snakes, but it's almost always interpreted as queen of the snakes because she's almost always depicted as female.
So there's this like automatic power and royal vibe to her, even in just her name.
Yeah, precisely. And that whole king-queen thing speaks to the kind of complex symbolism around her. She's got this wisdom, healing, connection to nature, but also authority and leadership.
It's like she's flipping the script on snakes.
Yeah.
They're not just scary, they're wise, they guide us. But let's get to the good stuff. What's the actual legend?
The most famous story is about Shahmaran and this young guy named Tamasp. And this is where we get into the real moral lessons and symbols.
All right, you've got my attention. Hit me with it.
So picture this. Young guy, Tamasp, poor family, works as a woodcutter. One day he's out with his buddies gathering wood, and they find this cave, and it's overflowing with honey. Naturally, they send Tamasp in to get it.
Wait, hold on. Honey-filled caves.
Yeah.
This is already sounding like a fairy tale.
Right. And just like a fairy tale, things go south. For some reason, which isn't totally clear in all the versions of the story, his friends ditch him, leave him trapped in the cave.
Seriously, they just left him there.
Looks like it. Poor Tamasp is freaking out, understandably, thinks this is it for him, but then he sees it. A tiny little opening, a sliver of hope in the darkness.
So he doesn't give up. I'm liking this Tamas guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
He uses his knife to make the opening bigger and manages to squeeze through. And what he finds on the other side, well, it's not what your average honey hunter expects.
All right, now we're talking. What's he find?
This huge hidden chamber, and it is packed with snakes. Thousands of them.
Oh, wow. That's both amazing and kind of terrifying. What does Tamas do?
He's scared, obviously, but he doesn't totally lose it. And then, get this, from among all those snakes, this amazingly beautiful figure appears. Shahmaran herself, the queen of snakes.
No way. So she's like half woman, half snake.
That's the one. Now, she's incredibly intelligent and kind. She calms Tamas down, tells him not to worry, explains that the snakes with her are not like regular snakes. They're wise, compassionate, peaceful even.
So not exactly the monster you'd expect, huh?
Nope. She's all about wisdom and a deeper connection to nature. And get this, she invites Tamasp to stay in her kingdom. Can you imagine the kind of conversations they had?
A human hanging out in the snake kingdom?
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. What happens next? Does he become like some kind of snake whisperer?
Not quite a snake whisperer, but he does find kind of contentment there. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the legend of Shahmaran, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
We always love hearing from you. Okay, back to Tamasp. He's living in this secret snake kingdom. Does he ever leave?
Well, even though he finds peace and knowledge in Shahmaran's world, he eventually starts missing his family. The human world wants to go home.
I get it. Even paradise can feel lonely without your loved ones. So, does she let him go?
She does, but not easily. Understands his longing for home, agrees to let him go, but of course there's a condition.
There's always a catch, especially with these hidden worlds and mystical creatures. What is it?
Before she lets him go, she makes Tamas promise to never reveal where her kingdom is.
Fair enough. She's trusting him with this huge secret. Anything else?
There is one more thing. She warns him that his time in her realm, it's changed him. He's absorbed some of the snake's qualities, and this will show up in a, well, peculiar way.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of change are we talking?
She tells him that if he ever bathes in public, his skin will break out in scales, like a sign of his time with her. A secret he has to keep very carefully hidden.
Whoa, that's intense. He's marked by this experience,
Mm-hmm.
but has to keep it a secret. I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, you're picking up on the foreshadowing there.
I can't even imagine the pressure of keeping that under wraps.
That's a pretty intense image, isn't it? Like this physical reminder of his connection to that whole serpent world, a mark that sets him apart, really shows how those encounters with the unknown, they can change you, even physically.
Totally. So how does he handle this? Is he like constantly looking over his shoulder?
For a while, he manages, goes back to his family, tries to blend in. But that fear of exposure, it's always there, like a ticking time bomb. And, well, you know how fate is.
Oh, yeah. It always has a way of, messing with things. What happens? Does someone find out his secret?
Not exactly. It's the king. He gets really sick, like deathly ill. The royal doctors, they're stumped. They've tried everything and nothing works. The king's on his last legs.
Oh, this doesn't sound good. Dying king, desperate court. This is where things go downhill for Tom Osp, right?
It is. Someone starts spreading rumors about this creature, Shahmaran, who can supposedly heal anything. Remember all those stories she told Tom Ost about human history? Well, seems like they got out and got a little twisted along the way.
So now instead of being this wise queen, she's some magical cure-all.
Pretty much. The king, clinging to life, he makes a decree that anyone who knows anything about Shahmaran has to come forward.
That's a nightmare for Tom Osp. He promised Shahmaran he'd keep her secret, but now the king's life is on the line. And maybe the whole kingdom, too.
It's a real moral dilemma, isn't it? Stay quiet and maybe your king dies, or break your promise and betray someone who showed you kindness. What would you do?
Talk about a rock and a hard place. He's torn between loyalty and duty. So what does he do?
He tries to keep quiet, hoping for some other way out. But the king's advisors are, well, desperate. They come up with this plan to expose anyone who's been to Shahmaran's world.
I think I know where this is going. They're going to use the scales, aren't they?
Bingo. They order everyone in the king's court to bathe in a public bathhouse. And of course, there are soldiers everywhere watching for any sign of those scales.
No escape for Tom Osp. He can't hide his connection to Shahmaran anymore.
He tries, but yeah, no luck. They find him, drag him to the bathhouse, and as soon as he's in the water, boom, scales. Just like Shahmaran predicted.
Poor guy. He never really stood a chance, did he?
He's immediately arrested, taken to the king. He tries to hold out, still trying to protect Shahmaran, but the king's desperate, resorts to torture.
This is awful. He's backed into a corner and punished for being kind.
It really shows how quickly things can flip, How desperation can lead to cruelty, even from good people.
So does he crack? Does he tell them where Shahmaran is?
He does. It's a heartbreaking betrayal. Trades Shahmaran's trust and wisdom for his own life.
Makes you wonder if he had any other choice, really. Could he have defied the king, even with the threat of death?
That's the thing about this legend, isn't it? It makes you think about those big questions of loyalty, sacrifice, and how much responsibility we really have.
Okay, so the king knows where Shahmaran is. What happens to her?
Well, the king doesn't waste any time. He sends his soldiers to capture her. They bring her back as a prisoner, taken from her own world, right into the heart of the human world she'd tried to stay hidden from.
Can't imagine how betrayed she must have felt. The one human she trusted, the one she welcomed into her world, he's the one who brings about her downfall.
A deep betrayal. And faced with this, with her death pretty much guaranteed, Shahmaran does something unexpected. She reveals one final secret.
All right, now I gotta know. What does she do?
She tells the king to divide her body into 3 parts: the head, the torso, and the tail. Each one, she explains, has a different power.
Hold on. Different powers. This is getting more and more interesting. What are the powers?
Eating the head, she says, will give you knowledge. The torso, it'll heal any sickness. And the tail, well, the tail brings death.
Wow, even facing death, she's offering wisdom, healing, and a pretty huge consequence.
It really speaks to her character, doesn't it? Even betrayed, she's still in control, still this figure of knowledge and power.
So does the king do it? Does he divide her body like she said?
He does. But here's where things take another tragic turn. The king, obsessed with being healed, he's not thinking straight. He and his advisor, they gobble down a piece of Shahmaran's tail, thinking it's the head.
Oh no. They fell for the classic fairy tale trap. Let their desires get in the way of common sense. What happens to them?
Just like Shahmaran said, they both die instantly. Their greed, that desperate need for a cure, it's what destroys them. A classic case of hubris, right? thinking they could control a power that was way beyond them.
It's a good reminder that even with the best intentions, we can get blinded by what we want. What about Thomas? What happens to him?
Tahmasp is full of regret and chooses to eat the head. He can't live with the guilt, so he decides to face the consequences, whatever they may be.
So he accepts his fate, linked to Shahmaran even in death.
Yeah. But here's another twist. He survives. And not only does he survive, but eating Shahmaran's head gives him this huge amount of knowledge and wisdom.
Wait a minute, he betrays her, she dies, and he gets to live and become wise from her sacrifice. Seems a little unfair.
It is a pretty complex ending, isn't it? He gains knowledge, but it comes at a huge cost. He has to live with what he did.
That's a lot to carry. Does the story tell us anything about what happens to him after? Like, does he find a way to redeem himself?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Some versions of the legend, they don't let him off the hook so easily. Even though he was tortured, he still made the choice to betray Shahmaran. And those versions, well, they give him a different kind of consequence.
So it's not just about the pressure he was under, but also about his own guilt, his responsibility.
Exactly. He's haunted by what he did, realizes the knowledge he gained. It doesn't mean much without understanding what it cost. Some stories say he even goes back to the Serpent Kingdom, tries to find Shahmaran's followers, maybe to ask for forgiveness, maybe even punishment.
Wow. Goes back to face the music. But why? He's got the knowledge. What more could he want?
I think it shows that real knowledge, it's not just about facts and skills. It's about understanding the consequences, how your actions affect other people. Maybe he realized the knowledge was empty without taking responsibility for how he got it.
It's like a hero's journey, but kind of twisted. He starts innocent, finds this hidden world, faces a huge moral challenge, and ends up paying a big price.
Exactly. And the story, it doesn't always tell you what happens to him in the end. It's like it's up to us to figure out what justice, what redemption might even look like.
That's a really cool point. It's not just a simple good versus evil story. It asks us big questions about knowledge, betrayal, and whether you can ever really come back from something like that.
And that's what makes folklore so powerful, you know? It holds up a mirror to ourselves, our values, our beliefs, makes us face some hard truths.
And beyond the whole morality thing, there's all that symbolism, like how Shahmaran is often shown with two heads, one human, one snake. What's that all about?
I think it really emphasizes that duality that runs through the whole story. She's wise but dangerous, offers knowledge, but it comes with consequences. She's this bridge between us and the natural world, but crossing that bridge, well, it comes at a price.
It's like a warning, right? Be careful about searching for knowledge if you don't understand what it really means.
You got it. Real knowledge, it's not just about gathering information, it's about understanding how everything's connected, respecting the balance of nature, and using what you know wisely. For the good of everyone, not just yourself.
Beautifully said. Shahmaran's story is full of symbolism and wisdom. It's resonated across cultures for centuries, teaching us about wisdom, betrayal, and just how complicated being human can be.
And for anyone listening who's as fascinated by this legend as we are, I encourage you to dig a little deeper, check out different versions of the story, the art it's inspired, and how it still holds meaning for people today.
Absolutely. There's always more to explore. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, check out our playlist on Iranian folklore and mythology for more amazing stories like this.
And as always, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, let us know what you thought about Shahmaran's legend. What would you have done in Tahmasp's shoes?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and never lose that curiosity.